Hey, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch Lite. We've been spending a lot of time with it here in the office, and to be completely honest, it's really awesome. But it's very different than the base Nintendo Switch. I think the biggest thing is just the fact that the original Switch, I loved it so much because it kind of tried to rethink how we play games. Whether we play in front of the TV, we play on the bus, we play with people, we play without people. The Switch Lite is the complete opposite. It goes the total opposite way. But I think it does a good job with what it does because Nintendo is clearly going full handheld here. This is a handheld console, not a hybrid, so you're really getting just a Nintendo handheld that isn't a 3DS, which is something that we haven't had in a long time. But I think it's damn good with a couple of things, so let's jump into it. Let's start off with a little design talk. This thing is shockingly small. Smaller than you'd expect. I mean, it makes the big boy Switch feel like a freaking giant. But it feels good in the hand. I like the trigger placements. It's extremely light, so there's zero fatigue when holding it. Not that the previous model had that problem, but still. This thing truly feels like a next generation handheld device. No exaggeration or anything. And not to keep gushing about it, but the design itself, I think, is quite the looker. I went with the turquoise color, obviously, and it looks a little bit different in person, but I love Nintendo's choice to use the white buttons. Plus, the actual bezel is the same color as the device, which I think is a really slick move. It's all got like a nice, subtle matte finish that I worry might be kind of prone to nasty scratches. We've kind of been debating that in the office, but only time will tell because none of us are, brave enough to scratch it with a penny. Now, the screen itself is smaller at 5.5 inches compared to the standard Switch's 6.2 inches. Now 5.5 brings it closer to, your average cell phone. For reference, here is it next to a standard size Pixel 3 and an iPhone 11 Pro Max. Sorry, we're not like flexing, it's what we had. Now I guess it's sharper because of its pixel density, but generally the resolution is still 720p. I notice a visible difference between a regular Switch and the Switch Lite. Color temps seem different, and the color white seems stronger on a standard Switch, as well as, the brightness overall. It isn't a deal breaker with the Lite by any means. The Switch Lite screen still overall is really great for what it is. And I just want to point out that I still think technology is a miracle. Like, the fact that this little screen in this device can be packed with stuff like, The Witcher 3 soon, Modern Doom, Wolfenstein, and a bunch of other like full-fledged 3D games is just something I'll never get over. Now, the speakers sound noticeably weaker, but nothing drastic. I mean, it's really just the placement, because now they're no longer forward firing, they're downward. They sound good, but just slightly quieter. And still, they get the job done. But thankfully, switching from an old Switch to a new Switch Lite is fairly easy too. Like, I'm surprised Nintendo didn't totally goof this one up. There's a fairly simple transfer process that's, pretty plainly worded and just requires you to have both your new and old system on the same Wi-Fi and designate which is going to where, and then you can transfer stuff. Now, it's not a perfect system. It's not like backing up an iPhone or an Android phone where everything magically shows up. It seems like digital games, you still have to just go in and re-download. But it's also worth saying, like, if you're a person of great gaming excess, like us boys here in the gameranx office, and you want to have it even though it's to the detriment of your wallet, it's simple to upload and download cloud saves back and forth between devices, a traditional Switch and the new Switch Lite. You just need a Nintendo Online account for cloud save stuff, so there's that. Oh, also, it's worth pointing out, you can't just drop your SD card from one device into another. You have to reformat, which is kind of lame, but, yeah. But now, onto the big thing. The Switch Lite loses some of the core Switch functionality. This is, like I said earlier, a handheld through and through. It ships with only a charger, and that's it. No docking station, and it's technically unable to dock and display on your television screen like a traditional Nintendo Switch. That's a big feature that's missing. It's one that I really love. The freedom to play however I want is part of, like I said, why I fell in love with this original Switch in the first place. I love playing it on my TV and then playing on the train or anywhere else, but almost everyone else I know exclusively plays their Switch in handheld mode. So I feel like I'm in the minority, and it seems like Nintendo knows that and wanted the Switch Lite to serve as the strictly handheld gaming option. but you lose some of that philosophy, you know, some of that charm behind the original thing. The detachable Joy-Cons and all their charm and even problems within are just not there. Sure, I mean, you can pair Joy-Cons to it and still have other players join in, but it's not the same as detaching the Joy-Cons and jumping in or slotting them into a grip controller. There's no motion controls, there's no sensors, and there's also no vibration. I really missed that last one, but I guess that's another thing to save the battery. Still, I guess you can say that less Joy-Con internals, all of that tech is not here, so then maybe the thing will be prone to less problems, like the dreaded Joy-Con drift problem, but who knows. Still, I just gotta bring it up. I love those aspects, you know, the whole Joy-Con situation. I take advantage of those aspects, those features, and I do miss them here. But everyone is different. This handheld feels like it's for you and you alone. It's not a social thing, and in that regard, it totally works. It is clear that there are trade-offs. What do you want? Do you want to play on a TV, or do you want to play on a bus? I mean, technically you could play on a bus with both, but do you want to have a smaller one? I don't know, that made more sense in my head. Still, it's worth noting that Nintendo didn't like revise or reinvent the wheel with too many things here. There's still no Bluetooth, so don't expect any modern enhancements. It's not a Switch 2, and it doesn't feel like one, except for one big thing, the battery. Now, as you may or may not know, Nintendo has low-key slightly updated the SoC and 2019 Switch units, and the Switch Lite also has this. This means that it's a bit more efficient, and because of that, it has a significantly improved battery life. The Switch Lite has a battery range from roughly 3 to 7 hours, just depending on what type of games you're playing, and compared to the old original Switch, the rate of drain difference is notable. So while it has a smaller battery technically, this thing is surprisingly power efficient, and it can handle a nice bit of whatever you throw at it. Really, in conclusion, this is a nice, fresh new Nintendo device. It's absolutely well designed, and it's also designed for a specific player preference. But it's great. So there you have it. Honestly, to be quite honest, you idiot. To be totally honest, I went into the Switch Lite not wanting to like it. I'm a Switch purist. I like the abilities that it did, but I can't help but fall in love with this freaking thing. That's my perspective. The screen is a bit prettier, the size is good, it's sturdy. That probably freaked someone out there, sorry. Really, I think it's just a good option. If you don't have a Switch and you're weighing what to go for, I think, you know, you can't make a bad decision either way, but the Switch Lite is pretty cool, man. If you guys enjoyed this video though, first of all, thank you for watching. It helps us if you click the like button, we would really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out videos every single day. Also, if you have any other questions about the Switch Lite, be sure to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram @JakeBaldino. But other than that, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.